Welcome back to Lift Talk. This is episode 35. I'm joined by Matt Bartholomew today. Matt, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not bad, man. Not bad. Feeling good.
I hope that Chris cuts that out for your sake.
Hey, don't. Hey, don't mind. Yeah.
So today we're going to do a SBD Australia Cup preview show. An SBD Australia Cup preview show. And I brought Matty in because he's commentating the event. So he's going to do a lot of research on these lifters over the next few weeks so that we can get the commentary up to scratch. And I thought it'd be a good idea to get everyone who listens to the podcast aware of what's going on, tune into the stream and have a bit more of an insight into what is going on in the competition before it actually starts.
I'm just going to surprise City Strength, do no research, and then on the commentating be like, no idea what this person's
Don't
PR
know
is.
Don't know who this person is. Don't know where she's from.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good lift.
Yeah.
So before we get into actual talking about the lifters themselves, I wanted to ask you, Matty, what are you excited for about the Cup?
I think that it's going to be really unique, and that's the part that I'm excited about compared to things like nationals and locals. The tactics of the lifters at these competitions really vary, and we know that landscape for local, we know that landscape for national. What I'm referring to is like at a national event, you might be a bit more conservative for placings and tussling in that sense. I think that this kind of competition allows you to be more aggressive. So there is the potential for it to be more entertaining in terms of the types of lifts people are going for, the risk that people will take. And the reward is different. You know, the reward is different. There's the sort of accolade, and there's also the monetary side.
Yeah, and you're not losing out on a spot at Worlds if you risk it and miss out. You're just kind of missing out on prize money.
That's it. Yeah.
And the other thing is like, this is one of the few chances you get a chance at a record that isn't nationals. So as you said, if people do play it more conservatively at nationals, they might not take a record attempt. Whereas in this kind of circumstance, we are actually trying to encourage lifters to take record attempts to make it more exciting for the people watching.
Yeah, exactly. I think as well, when it comes to, you know, we've talked a lot about the consolidation of powerlifting in Australia and how that can help rise the standard over time. I think events like this can also do that because it's encouraging people, it's baiting people to focus on records at a moment where it's fun and entertaining to do it. Again, you know, the record side of things at nationals is a nice to have. It's a good tactical advantage, but it's not the focus. It's not the primary goal.
That's right.
So I think that can also help to elevate the sport.
And often in a competition like this, there may be someone competing in a weight class on their own. So they may not be worrying about what anyone else is doing. So they're able to take that record without sort of worrying about someone else getting it off them.
Exactly.
I also think that this kind of thing is like as you said, it's a bait to bring people in, but also bring people from other federations in as well. Like we've got, I think, 4 lifters from the USAPL doing their first APA comp at this comp, which I think is really cool. Hopefully, like building towards that goal of uniting drug-tested powerlifting again in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. I think if events like this can happen to attract certain individuals, that you're going to get eyes from those other federations as well, which is an opportunity for APA to present itself well. And then if it does, you know, that can potentially move us along. Double-edged sword, obviously, but that's what we want to see. We want to see a lot of attraction of talent, and then with that, attracting more people into the sport in general, because if we have more people in grassroots and sort of more amateur level, we're going to be able to foster that talent and bring the sport up over time, which for a country that has a pretty small population as is, and then that filters into a small lifting population, being spread out is not a great thing.
Yeah.
You know, you can afford to have that a little bit more in bigger population countries. So I think that's going to be like a really important thing for Australia. I think we've seen that in other smaller nations as well. And the recent surge of smaller nations being competitive at Worlds.
Yeah. And I think like not just the grassroots, but also the top level. When you bring people in at the top level who are competitive against one another, it pushes those people at the top level even higher. Like we're bringing Hung into the 105s and like just throwing him in the mix. And it's going to push the other 105s who are at that level to elevate more, to try and beat that next person coming in.
Well, that's actually a really good example because I think we've seen and we've commented on the 105s at nationals and how the potential was here, and here. And then a lot of people either pulled down or underperformed, and the total in the end was lower than where some of the abilities were. And I think Hung coming in as someone who has hit the 822 at much lighter, 98 I think it was, and then has done like 850 or something in training, I think is a really good person to stimulate not the others to get better, but to show us, like put it on the platform, take that risk.
Yeah, totally. So how do we think that comps like this will elevate Australian powerlifting then?
Well, I think the first one is a bundle of what we've just said there, that people can take more risk. It exposes the standard of coaching and plans for the day as well, because if you are taking more risk and going for that like pinnacle lift of your abilities, the warm-ups, the attempts, the way you coach, the timing of everything, the prep, accuracy and taper, it all matters much, much more. Whereas let's say someone has like a 300 deadlift ability in a theoretical world, and they maybe don't nail all of those things, but they only need to attempt like 292. You're never going to realize that. Whereas if someone's peak ability is that 300, that's going to get them that record, that prize money, and that overall, they had to have nailed all of those things. So I think it's really good for the coaches as well to have to nail down these details, or else the repercussion is, no, you're not going to get that achievement. It's not going to be the same. So I think that the higher stakes situation of how hard these athletes are going to be pushing is going to make everybody be better.
Yeah, there's a professionalism aspect to it. And we've seen it at Sheffield and we've seen it at Rayleigh. Like the amount of made lifts in a competition like this actually goes up compared to like just a normal good lift or a dots formula type of prize money competition. Because in those circumstances, there's like, you know, always a few people who are higher in those coefficient scores that are like, you know, pretty likely to win and could maybe even win on a 6 for 9 day. But in this kind of scenario, you're like almost forced to make every single lift, and every single lift gets you close to that score that you need to win in the overall. And I think we'll see like lots of 8 for 9s, lots of 9 for 9s in this instance.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think it also gives way to differences in tactics, or leads to creativity in tactics potentially. So, for example, I think that it was, you know, like at the initial Sheffields, what I noticed in some instances was people trying to secure the records early in their attempts and taking extremely small jumps, which is a tactic. That played out fine for some. It played out pretty terribly for others. And I think that'll be interesting as well, because once again, it exposes how people think. It also makes people innovate a little bit. And these things can then help you perform better at a national level, and then when we get to international. So I think that like the trickle-on effect. But the last thing that I think is going to be good for Australian powerlifting is that spectacle sport or exciting sport brings eyes. Eyes can bring influence, talent, money, all the things that help to grow sport. And I think that is only a positive thing. So the more we can put out good content like this, the stuff that City Strength's putting out about the athletes, and draw eyes to what is a genuinely exciting event, you know, we can start to, well, we can continue to build the direction of the sport, and more people are going to want to do it. We're going to have the higher chance of talented people continuing to come into the sport, younger lifters and all those good things. So yeah, it's very, very exciting, and it's a unique event, and I think it's going to be really great.
I think the last point that I have there, which I think like a competition like this is really unique in, is that it attracts lifters to weight classes that may be sort of a bit lower in the standards for the records, and elevates those ones. So, you know, we'll talk about some of the lifters who are going up or down weight classes to sort of target those quote unquote weaker records, which brings up the standard of everyone. So like this year we might have a winner in a weight class that's, you know, a lower relative record. And then next year they won't have the ability to do that because those records will be elevated by this competition and then nationals again. So it like kind of evens out the playing field a little bit, which I think is really cool.
Absolutely. And I think that records and things like qualifying totals are both things that people look towards. And it's kind of like the 4-minute mile idea or 10-second 100 idea of knowing or thinking where the barrier is. And then as those things elevate, we see it a lot, you know, in the international
the barrier
platform.
moves, yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's a really healthy thing. And like what you said, more opportunities for lifters to maybe take what might be deemed an easier weight class, elevating the record. Now all of a sudden that weight class has to think differently about what are you aiming for? You know, where's the standard for you now? And then, yeah, we're going to see that roll-on effect. So I think it's great.
The last thing I want to talk about before we go into our preview show is during the invite process, John and I were kind of rushed and we didn't really have a way to like create a ranking system. And I was doing some thinking about how we could create an actual ranking system. And this is the idea that I have now. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to run with it, but this is where my head's at now. It's a combination of the lifter's percentage of the total record in their class plus their GL score to give them a third number. And then we'll rank the lifters in that third number. John wanted to call it the Hayes coefficient, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. But essentially, like what we're doing there is we're getting these two variables, which are the main two things that we're looking for a competition like this. One, how competitive is this person within their weight class? Like, are they close to 100% of what the total record is? And then the second thing is, how competitive are they on a coefficient score? Like, how competitive are they overall? So are they someone who's really, really high in good lift, but maybe not quite up to the record, but still, like, when you balance those things out, still quite high? So that's that's where my head's at right now with developing a ranking system. I'll input some numbers into a spreadsheet and see how that actually plays out. But yeah, that's where my head's at for that.
Yeah, I quite like that. I think that because the concept is unique in how it's scored, the way you bring people in probably has to be unique as well. And I think that looking at the current weight class that person is in as a percentage of record is important. But as we've noted, people are moving around. So it being the only thing kind of takes away that idea that you could change and make a choice and potentially do really well in a different weight class, but be discounted because maybe you're not at the record for this. Or it's nice. It's a nice way of sort of balancing it out to have that second and third number.
Yeah, I think with all coefficients, there'll be particular outliers that don't quite make sense with the formula.
There's always gaps.
But the other thing that I wanted to kind of put in was like a cap on the number of lifters per weight class, so that, you know, if this formula for some reason spits out 7 lifters in one weight class, like, that's not really what we're after for this competition. We want like people from varying weight classes participating. So I think the cap would probably be 4, which is the most that we have in this competition as well.
Sound.
All right, so we'll do the women preview first. So initially we had invited lifters from all 8 weight classes. We had a few turn back invites. We had Shaza Rue pull out, unfortunately, so no 63s. And then we've actually had people move weight classes. So we've actually now only got lifters in 4 out of the 8 weight classes, which I think is not exactly what we were after, but I think it's going to make for some really, really tight competition, and it's going to make things really, really interesting because there's going to be more lifters going after sort of the same records, which is cool. So we'll start off with the 52 weight class because Vicky K is competing in the 52 class, usually a 47. And the reason she is doing that is because the total record in the 52s is actually lower than in the 47. So if she were to weigh in the 47s and total the exact same as if she were to weigh in the 52s, her score would be lower, which kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense. So she's opting to do the 52s. We've also got reigning APA national champion from this year, Xin Liang. We've got from USAPL, Katarini. I'm not going to pronounce her last name. Leave that for you on the stream, Maddie. And then finally, we've got Liz Craven coming down from the 57 class in the 52. So those are our 4 women in the 52 kilo class. How do you want to start off by talking about them, Maddie?
I think that it'll be good to get some insights. I know we've got the open powerliftings up to look through how these lifters have performed over the last few competitions, both in total and which class they were in when they did those totals, but also in terms of things like made lifts. I think would be 2 really strong insights for us to kind of then continue some discussions.
Yeah. So we'll start with Vicky. Mm-hmm. So Vicky's last competition was Worlds. Did not receive a total for
bench depth.
Bench depth, which was controversial.
Disappointing, controversial.
Very disappointing. Yep. But her last 3 totals, 400, 388, and 393.5. And that 393.5 is the 47 kilo record. All 3 of those totals are above the 52 kilo record, which is 380.
Yep.
As far as made lifts, she's gone 7 for 9, then what is that? 5 for 9, then 8 for 9. 7 for 9, sorry.
Okay.
Yep. As far as the records go, actually, how about we do it this way? We go squat, bench, deadlift total.
Yep.
Okay, so the squat record in the 52 class is 148. As far as these 3 women who can probably reach that, there's probably 2 out of the 4 who could probably reach 148.5 to chip it. So Kate's best squat is 145, which was at her most recent competition. And I spoke to her recently. She's been doing quite well with squats. So that's, I think, what's on her mind is to get that record. And then Liz, who's squatted a lot more than 148 in the past, but obviously this is her first comp at 52 in a number of years. Recently done 150 and 150.5 at her last 2 comps. But again, upper class. So I guess for the squat, we're looking at those 2 for that record. I think Xin, best squat of 133, a little bit below the mark there. And Vicky, best squat of 140, 142.5. So she might be a chance, actually. You've trained with her alongside her. What do you think?
Yeah, I train a lot with Vicky. I think that you said the record's 148.
Yeah.
I think 148 would be a little bit of a stretch. I think she's squatting 140s and training really, really well right now. And I know she's feeling a lot better this prep than the last couple of preps. I think she's been managing a few niggles and is feeling a lot better now. And part of that, I think, is just sitting at a comfortable weight. She knows she's also not going to have to cut late in prep and things like that. So I think we will see a stronger performance from Vicky for those reasons, that she's feeling healthy, that she won't have to cut on the day. And we know that, I think particularly when you have a lightweight class, weight cuts can make quite a big impact. And obviously they can for the bigger weight classes as well, but a kilo is just a bigger percentage. So I think that'll be really good to see. I think 148 plus would probably be a bit of a stretch, but I think she'll probably end up in the 140s. More middle of 140s is what I would expect, which I think she'd be really happy with. And more so playing that total game. And
have you spoken to her about her plans for next year? Is she planning on going back down for nationals?
So she messaged me about it regarding like qualifying and things like that. Yeah, she's planning on doing 47s. She's not planning on moving at the point that she spoke to me, at least. Maybe the experience of prepping a weight class up will change her mind. But I do believe that she was checking, can I still qualify for nationals from that nationals total? So I think she's planning 47.
I think for her to go up would be pretty silly because she was so close to a podium finish at Worlds as a 47, and the difference between the 47 and the 52 totals is like 70 kilos or something like that. So I think definitely a smart move for her to stay in the 47s
from
for sure.
Perspective,
But for this competition, she's doing the right thing. She might nab a couple of records and win some prize money, and So
within the year or two, that decision might be to stay 47 at the future SBD Cups because it's actually the 52 records.
Exactly.
Higher,
right? So we'll go on to bench for the 52s. Only Vicky and Kate, I think, can get the bench. The bench record is 88. So Vicky's done 91 in the past. Kate has done 85 as a 52. But I know Kate's been dealing with changing over from USAPL to IPF with regards to bench depth, so that may affect how she benches. So my money would be on Vicky taking the bench record.
Yeah, and I do think Vicky has been working hard on trying to make sure she gets even more convincing, obviously because she was pulled up for what she was pulled up. I think that it's always a question mark when lifters are borderline because you do have the interpretation of the rule and it being implemented in the nature of the way it's worded. And, that looking different on everyone, it's a lot more clear cut when you're assessing squat depth. Be that what it is. So lifters have to adapt to that. But Vicky's bench looking strong. She's looked very consistent with the changes she has made. So, I think she'd be in good shape for the bench press and carrying a little bit of extra weight or not having to cut that weight. Obviously, for bench press, we know that's going to play into her favor. So, if Vicky comes through with a strong squat, not far under what the others are doing for a record attempt, and then actually manage to get a bench press record, she'd be in a great spot.
Yeah, I'd be quite surprised if she didn't walk away with the bench record, to be honest. Like she's been looking strong. Her depth has been looking more convincing, like you said. And then again, factor of not having to cut. Like I think she'll be into the 90s. So moving on, deadlift. So the current record holder is Zin, who's doing the comp, best deadlift 175.5. I think only Zin and Liz will have a chance at this. I think Vicky's probably, again, with the squat, like quite close, but not quite there.
What's the deadlift record again?
175.5.
I think, honestly, Vicky's deadlift the last block or two has picked up quite a lot. I know she was nursing a bit of an adductor thing coming into Worlds.
Yep.
And I think that's improved a lot, particularly even just like the last couple of weeks. And she hit like a really good 170 recently. 5 more kilos and then potentially those girls actually taking it further. It's a different question.
Yeah.
I think if it comes to like pipping it, I wouldn't discount Vicky. I'd actually count her in more for the deadlift than the squat.
Yep. That's good to know.
Yeah, her deadlift has looked particularly good, and she's been commenting that her body has been feeling particularly good. Whereas, like I say, in previous preps where she's still wound up around that 170 mark, she's been like nursing at adductor stuff.
Yeah.
So that's been good to see, and hopefully that stays feeling that way because we want to see, hopefully a few of these women in this weight class hitting 175.5 and then someone hits 176 or whatever, right? Like that'd be awesome to see.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool. I mean, like maybe she goes for it first and then something happens after that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I could see her doing that. I could see her pulling like 167 or something and then going for the record, or pulling 165 and then like trying to go 0.5 over and just giving it a roll.
I think the thing with Vicky as well is like she's actually quite a slow paced lifter. Like all of her lifts above a certain range look very similar.
100%.
So it's quite hard to tell what the limit is. Like,
Yeah, like
she
I can
might do like quite a slow lift and have another 7.5 kilos.
Yeah. Like I can be watching her and think to myself, oh, that looked like a tougher single. And she'll go and put 10 on it.
Yeah.
And it just moves the same. And then that was tough. And yeah, I think you do see that a lot in, again, like lightweight female sumo lifters, where it's like, I can sometimes find it, like I said with that example, find it extremely hard to see the pacing change. It's like this ability to just continue to hold position is really, really awesome. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where she lands, but she has had a healthier, stronger prep in that regard. So I'd be counting her in for an attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously the other one is Zin, who's the current record holder. She had a pretty rough go at nationals, missing 2 squats and 2 benches. So kind of had to like pull whatever she needed for the win, which to me leaves a clue that she's actually good for more, because she only pulled exactly 0.5 more than she needed to win the gold medal. So I think she'll be one to look at as well. Like I wouldn't be surprised if she's in the 180s as well. And then obviously there's Liz Craven, whose best deadlift is 190, but that was a long while ago. She's done a few 185s at her last 2 comps. She did 183 and then 185, which kind of like got to lockout and bobbled, which was unfortunate, lost balance. But it moved nicely. And she deadlifted 180 yesterday. And she'll be looking for around 182 to 185 in this final block coming up. So yeah, my money would be on Liz, but I'm a little bit biased. So
the fourth was it Katarine?
Kate's best deadlift is 165 or 167.5.
Yep.
But I was talking to her and she's been nursing a bit of a hamstring tendinopathy, so her deadlift's been kind of on the back burner a little bit. And she's hoping she gets some nice momentum in this final block. So I probably wouldn't put her in the running for the deadlift record.
The other thing that Zin and Vicky will have to consider is it worthwhile reaching to try and attempt a record if, say, Liz is looking good to just blast it? That's the other thing as well, is like the chips don't really mean quite as much. Like they may, but it's not the kilos game at the end of it. It's going to be that percentage game. Yeah. And I guess for those lifters in that class, it does matter if it comes down to them being the highest ranking. But because cross weight class, it's just not the same mindset. So the desperation to take a chip is different. And so that will, I think, be a train of thought for those lifters is, okay, if Liz is turning up with 180 plus potentially, is it going to be worth Vicky attempting something that's risky, 175.5 or 175.5 is the current?
That's the current record.
176, or is she going to go, look, I'm good for 172.5. I'm going to lock that in because I'm thinking longer term, right? That I think is an important thing to consider. So yeah, I think that's going to be interesting in terms of, like I said, the tactics of how people approach.
I also think it's pretty likely that Liz will take the record on her second, and then we might see Zin and Vicky try to chip her on her third and then kind of put the ball in the court and say, hey, Liz, do you want this record back, or do you care more about the overall? Like, are you gonna be more conservative and just take the record back, or are you going to overextend and maybe we get to keep it, which is also another play as well. So that'll be interesting to see. As far as who wins on the total, I'm really interested to see how these 4 go, because I think it's going to come down to, like we always say, is like who actually makes the most lifts.
They have different strengths.
Yeah. So I'm keen for this little battle, 4-way battle, and then obviously within a full battle of women for the overall. So
sensational. That's a good rundown. And I think actually, like, I know you said you were trying to get a spread, but I actually think this adds an element of excitement, having, coincidentally more in one weight class. And I think that it puts more pressure on the decisions.
Yeah, so when we did our like sort of initial system for the invites, it was good lift score ranking within your weight class, and then the third one was inter-class battles. It was like the lowest out of the 3 priorities.
Yeah.
So I think like if we, in this new system, implement like a cap on the number that get in per weight class, we'll still end up with a few 3-way or 2-way or 4-way battles in there, as long as we're not getting like 7.
Would you cap, once the invites are sent out, the amount that could change into the weight class, or cap how many you originally invite from weight classes?
Yeah, originally invite, because we can't control. We can't control, because we don't even actually know. Like I'm saying Liz is doing 52s. Like obviously I coach her, but she still has to make it.
Yeah. So this is just like any local where they'll be counted where they weigh in at.
Yeah. So it's the same rules as Sheffield. So Evie at the first Sheffield, she qualified as a 57, and no one knew. And she turned up and weighed in at 52 and won the whole thing. And everyone was like, what the hell just happened?
Different rule set to a world or national.
Yes, that's right. Yep. All right, moving on. So we don't have anyone in the 57s because Liz is going down. We don't have anyone in the 63s because Shay unfortunately pulled out. She's focusing on Nationals prep and then ideally Worlds next year.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Totally fair.
She said to me, like, if she does 3 back-to-back preps, she'll probably burn out. So
Very fair.
so fair when you know your body like that, and it's actually a really smart decision. So we have 2 in the 69 class. We initially invited Ebony, actually, who's kind of taking a break and going to bodybuilding. So Kate was next on the list, Caitlin Atia, and Brittany Romas is coming down from the 76. So Brittany won the 76 national title this year.
Okay, so it's a 3-way battle.
It's 2-way.
Oh, 2-way.
So it's Kate and Britt.
Yep.
So Britt actually won the 2022 APU at 69, and then she went up, did Worlds at 76, then won Nationals at 76, and then did Worlds again at 76. So now she's gone back down to 69, and this is one of those instances where the 69 record is low relative to the other ones. So again, smart decision. Britt had kind of only like half filled out the 76 at this point. So it was, like I said, a smart decision to come down. So we'll talk about the squat first. So the current record is 180. So Kate's best squat, 162.5. She won't go near that. So we'll discount her from that. And Britt's best squat is 182.5. Obviously, as a 76, she's done that twice. One time weighing 73, one time weighing 74.
What's her best in the 69s prior? I know it was a little while.
Her best in the 69s, I believe, is 167.5.
Okay, but that was 2020.
That's right. But that was 2022. So that was a long while ago. I haven't been privy to her training, but based on how her stories have gone and how she's talking about this comp, she's strong.
So it's a reasonable
So
expectation.
I definitely wouldn't be surprised if she attempted to take the record.
Especially because you said she weighed in, 71, 72?
She's 73, 74 the last two comps. But I think that's like, have the freedom to eat breakfast and like hydrate
Sit
stuff.
a couple
Like
kilos under that.
Yeah.
Very mild acute cut. You're good to go.
So she posted yesterday actually that she was down to 70.5, which I think was her goal to make it to that point.
Yeah,
then
laughing.
Got cut from there.
Great. Oh, that'd be so good to see her. What was it? 182.5 was the current record.
So 180 is the current record.
180.
Her best is
182.5 in the
182.5.
76s.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
beautiful.
we'll see how. I would be really surprised if she didn't take the squat. To be
Love to see
honest,
her take that. Yeah.
Bench again. Kate is miles behind where the bench record is. I believe the bench record is 106.5, and Brittany's best is 112.5. But again, upper weight class. Her best as a 69 is 100. So kind of in the record's kind of in the middle of those two.
I think that would sound like she'd be good for going for that as well.
Yeah, I think she's recently done 100 for 5. So I think she's looking good for that one as well.
Yeah.
And then deadlift, Kate's record, Britt's best deadlift 202.5. The current record's 215, which is held by Kate.
Yeah, that was mad.
So I would be surprised.
Is that at Nats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would be surprised if Britt was able to take the deadlift record, but again, anything can happen in a comp like this. And Kate is likely going to chip her own record or, add a few kilos to it. So yeah, that's the rundown on the 69s. For the total is 462.5. Kate is 5 kilos off that, and Brittany's best total at 69 is 5 kilos above that. So I wouldn't...
Best at 69 or best
at 69.
69.
And best ever 495, so quite a bit above that, like over 30 kilos above that.
So the question for her is like, how many of those kilos can she hold on to coming down? If she's had a strong prep and, managed her nutrition well, it's reasonable to expect she'll land in a very competitive space from a total perspective.
I'd be expecting somewhere between 480 and 490.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a little bit out of reach for Kate. I think Kate on her best day is probably around 475. But again, anything can happen, like we've said. But yeah, I think because Britt's best is so far above the record, like you said, if she holds on to most of that strength coming down, she's a real shot at the overall.
What was the current total record for?
462.5.
Okay, so potentially like around 5% above. If she goes,
let me do some.
If she goes sort of plus, if she goes like sort of plus 20, thereabouts.
So if she did 482.5, if I can open my calculator app.
I mean, 46 is 10%, 23 is 5%. So it's like 489 is 5%.
So plus 20 would be 104 score, which is
very close to 5%.
Probably going to be pretty competitive. So yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, how far Britt can push that total record, whether she can take squat, whether she can take bench, and then it'll be fun at the end to see how far Kate can push that deadlift.
Definitely. If we quickly compare that to where we think the 52s
Yep.
could land relative to their total record.
Yep.
That would be nice, I think, to compare. So, like, how does 4% look for those ladies?
So the 52 record is 380.
Yep.
Kate's
Looking at
best.
19 above that for 5%.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
so about
that's-
400.
Yeah, about 400. Yeah.
5%. That would clear. That would probably. Oh, that would be very close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah.
So I can see Vicky doing a bit over 400.
Yep.
Liz did 410 this week. So I would expect somewhere between 410 and 415 for Liz.
So on a good day, the 52 pool are probably going to be, slightly elevated in percentage compared to our 69 pool.
We'll see because
Most likely.
like if Britt can hold on to all that strength and her deadlift actually.
Well, that's the question, right? Like, was
Yeah.
it 490 something?
495 is her
Right.
best,
Like
which would give
that,
her,
it completely
yeah.
changes the conversation.
'Cause-
So it's very hard to know where she's going to land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think the things she's got at her, like the best card she has to play is actually her deadlift, because her deadlift was 200 when she was in 69 and only went up 2.5 going upper class. So I think coming back down, her deadlift might actually go up a little bit. Obviously, like when you get bigger, sometimes people can struggle with the leverages of deadlifts. It feels a little bit uncomfortable. Obviously, you went through that. And me, I know when I'm a little bit heavier, it feels a bit uncomfortable to deadlift. So I wouldn't be surprised if Britt actually put some kilos on her deadlift,
Yeah.
which may be enough to then
And again,
take
could
over
trade
these
some kilos
52s,
from
yeah.
some of the loss elsewhere, and we might actually see something very close to what
Yeah.
she's done at 76.
And obviously she'll have the chance to go after the 52s on the final deadlift, so she'll have the final say,
Yep.
which is cool.
Yep.
All right,
Cool.
moving on to the 76 class. So we thought we had 4, and Britt's gone down, so we have 3. So we have Kelly Fagan / Kelly
Oh, yeah.
Clark / Kelly Basto. I don't actually know what her last name is. She's been married a few times, so I don't know what she goes by now.
No worries.
I spoke to her about it, and I think she wants Basto on her t-shirt, so we'll call her Kelly Basto. So Kelly's best total is 487. The current record's 495. We've got Isabella von Weissenberg, whose best total is 528. That was a long while ago,
Yep.
but she's strong as hell. Everyone knows Izzy. And finally, Shania Radke, best total of 465. Is that right? 465. But she's been making awesome progress since moving into the 76
she really
class.
has.
So we've got these 3. For the squat record is 187.5.
Yep.
So Kelly recently squatted 190. That was a month ago or 2 months ago
At
now.
the local she did.
Yeah, at a local she did, which was quite comfy. Her best squat ever is, I think she's done like 203 or somewhere around
Yeah, I
there.
recall that.
So she'll definitely be a shot at that. Izzy's best squat ever is 203, but that was as a 72. So obviously she's got more room to play with as 76. She came in her first day of prep here and did like a let's see where I'm at testing and squatted 200. So she'll be like well above that.
Mad.
I
Yep.
think. And Shania, I think, will be a little bit short on the squat record. I think she's done around 175 in training.
I
And
think
she'll-
she just the other day did
Yeah.
a PR. Yeah.
so she'll be looking like
And look good.
She'll be looking in the 180s. I
Yeah,
don't
she'll
think
be-
quite into the 187 range,
She'll be stashing that.
but yeah, she'll be kind of building the total there. So
Yep.
it'll be Izzy versus Kelly for the squat record, which will be cool. The bench record,
So did you say there were 3 in the 76ers?
there are 3. Yeah.
Yep.
The bench record,
Kelly, Izzy, and Shania.
I believe. I'm actually just gonna look this up. Can you talk for a minute?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this is going to be really interesting because we have Kelly, who's been in the game for so long, with Isabella, who has put up a really good total in the past, and then is relatively, I guess, coming back into a very competitive competition and could just put up something huge, which is really cool. And then Shania as well, new to the weight class, progressing like crazy, really big deadlift. And similar to some of the other weight classes that we've spoken about, you have some differing strengths and weaknesses across the total, which is always going to be something that's really exciting to watch. So, yeah, that's about all I've got for you. Until
Yeah, I think this
you've got the
class
records.
is actually going to be the hardest to predict because
I agree.
you got Kelly, who had a bit of time off. She did 2022 nationals and then didn't compete until like 2 months ago.
Yep.
So that was quite a long hiatus. She still held on to a lot of that strength. But it will be interesting to see how much further she can take her most recent performance. And then Isabella, who was like an absolute legend in raw powerlifting, multiple time podium at Worlds. I think she came second a couple times at Worlds. Crazy strong, has had a world record squat before.
And the thing about that is, like, you always have that threat of a good, healthy, like succinct prep leading to just an amazing total outcome, because like her strength has been there. And I always say strength is loyal. Like when you get it right, after that point, you can just see that replication or even improvement, you know? So, and because she doesn't post a lot about her stuff, you don't know where she's at.
Yeah. And she doesn't actually train the 3 lifts heaps. And she seems to hold on to a lot of her strength all the time. Like she does a lot of machine stuff. She does a lot of bodybuilding, lots of like different training that's not specific. But it seems like that top end is like always actually really close to where it has been. So she's going to be quite tough to predict, and it could go like one of so many ways.
I'm pretty sure that all 3 of these ladies, but I'd be keen to check, have like pretty awesome strike rates in terms of lifts made. They're actually really, really good competitors, make good decisions on the day. I think especially recently with the weight class move from Shania. But what does open powerlifting say?
So Izzy's got a lot of like 7s and 8s. Most recently only made 5 out of 9. But that was almost 2 years ago now. And Kelly has a great strike rate. Like she's 8 or 9 every time. So the bench record is 115. None of these ladies are close to the bench, so we won't even discuss that.
Just quickly, what was Shania's kind of strike rate?
She's in the 7, 8, 9s every comp.
I don't see her miss.
She'll be high strike rate. And then the deadlift record is currently the standard, which is 210, and I think they can all go well over it. So it will be really interesting to see, like we spoke about with the 52s, whether they are jostling for the record or whether they're actually jostling for the overall. As I mentioned before, Izzy did her little like, where am I at testing, and I'm pretty sure she pulled 220 or maybe it was 225.
Mad.
I think it was 220. And
Love
it was nice. It was hard, but it was nice. Like it was 3 white lights, like smooth.
That's so cool.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see 225, 230.
And I'm pretty sure we've seen 215 from Shania.
She had an attempt at 213.5 at Nats, which was like maybe like 5 too heavy. That was to try and beat Britt. Try and pull for the win.
And then in training, she's done like 210, 215.
I think she did 210 or 215 recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see 220 from Shania as well. And then Kelly's been, upwards of 205, 210, like in that 205 to 210 range for a long time.
What's it that states in Newcastle where Shania pulled 200 for the first time? It was like mega difficult. But
that was actually a local. I'm pretty sure to qualify for states.
You're true. Sorry.
They just went full YOLO on it, and it was like a 20-second grinder.
Yeah, it was mad.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But like great progress since then.
So she's obviously grown into the 76 really well. She's quite tall, so was never going to last as a 69 long term. It'll be interesting to see. I think the most hotly contested record is the deadlift in this one, because they're all actually up for it, and it will be sort of changing hands each attempt.
And I think that's probably going to be one of the key decisions that'll be very, very interesting on the day from lifters, is this, decision making potentially between the individual record, especially for the deadlift, and then potentially a podium overall. That's going to be like one of the biggest decisions. And I don't know if I could accurately predict what is an obvious decision from people, because everyone's got their own mindset around it.
Yeah, and everyone has their own like goals they weigh up. Do I care about the record, or do I care about the podium? Or do I care about the podium, or do I care about the record? Do I care about PRing my total? Do I care about PRing my deadlift? Like what are we actually trying to do here?
Yeah, and then as well, like how much of a difference in selection is it to chip the record versus to try and win the overall? So it could be that you've got to add 10.5 kilos to a second attempt deadlift that you feel you had, up to 12.5 for sure, versus, you need 15 for the second place overall or something. And if you don't take that, you're 5th overall or something like that. So like these are all very interesting decisions that I'm very excited to watch unravel on the day, to see how these individual personalities, but more importantly, the coach relationship with that, and talking about the tactics beforehand is going to be so important for this partnership, to not be like, what do we do like on the day? What are our primary goals, secondary goals, tertiary goals when it comes to decision making, so we already know what our hierarchy is.
And that 105 score that we kind of alluded to earlier, that would be 520 in this weight class, which I think Izzy is a genuine shot at, maybe more. Don't think Kelly or Shania will be up at 520. So I think the people that we've mentioned for the overall so far,
That's right. So
We're
Izzy
looking
being
at
528 all-time best.
526, was
526,
it?
528.
528. That's
528 all-time best. 520 would put it at that 5% over point. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yep.
sort of that 5% over. Brit's looking likely for 5% over.
Yep.
Liz and Vicky looking likely for 5% over.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that it's going to be really interesting when it comes down to final deadlifts, like how close it is. What does it look
This
like?
is all
for the
theoretical.
attempts?
Like,
yeah, of course.
as we know, right? Like we're saying this 5%. Like, I'll say it. Like, it
Someone
probably
could do fucking 9.
Yes, true, but I think it's likely it probably winds up like 2-3%,
Yes.
right? Like in those sorts of things, because some people are going to reach too hard and whatnot. Because again, because it's such an exciting layout of a competition, I reckon there'll be more mislifts than like the average national competition. Maybe I'm wrong there, but like I get that feeling because the stakes are so different. You can be a little more risky. And I want to see that, to be honest with you. I want to see people load some like nutty numbers and get it or just miss it. You know, I kind of want to see those sorts of lifts, especially if the landscape calls for it.
Yeah,
But I think that's what will make it very exciting.
Perfect example is Sheffield this year, Jesus loading 411 to go from 11th to 1st.
Yeah.
Like I think he took like a 41 kilo jump. Like something
load it. Let's
something
go.
crazy.
Like,
just like, yeah, like what's my priority? My priority is to win. I don't care about second. I don't care about third. I don't care about total record. Just like, let's just win.
yeah, it's like that old story from like one of the Expo Nats where someone shifted from like sumo to a world conventional won, right? So like stories like that. And I think that something that I find really exciting about events like this is hopefully giving opportunities for those sorts of things to occur, because it only happens in those like real do or die moments, and the sport needs to provide those do or die moments. So I hope to see lifters be a little risky and try some crazy stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I'd be really keen to see.
I mean, you say that you think it might end up like 102, 103. I really doubt that for this one. And the reason I say that is because some of these records are still standard. Like there's still that no one actually holds a total record in the 69 or in the 52. Like they're the standards.
Yeah, and because
So
we
I
are
think-
talking about quite a few people,
Yeah.
we're not. Yeah, I
think
can hear
that
you on
in
that.
the 52 and in the 69, we will have 5% or more.
Yep.
And then in the 76, if Izzy has a great day and close to her best, or maybe even more than her best, you know, we'll see that as well.
Yep.
And then finally in the 84s, we've got maybe the best head-to-head of the day. We've got Yanni versus Beth. Obviously, two really close friends. They've competed against each other before, but not for like 6 years or something.
Yeah,
So
since sub-junior times probably, or
I
maybe
think
early junior
Beth
times.
was still a junior, and I think Beth was still a sub-junior and Yanni was a junior, or maybe like Beth was 1 year out of sub-juniors when they last competed against one another.
Yep.
Obviously, Beth had a longer hiatus. We had her on the podcast to talk about it. I think she had 4 years off competing. And then Yanni sort of stayed outside of the IPF, and now she's finally back.
She did bodybuilding for a bit.
She had bodybuilding for a bit. She had cancer. Like, anyway,
What's happened?
So
And they were 84 plus back then when they were competing against each other a bit, and now 84.
No, they only competed against each other in 84. Yanni's done a few
Oh, true.
84 plus comps just for like, because she sucks at dieting. Shout out Yanni. So
Diet starts tomorrow, right?
yeah, legit. Diet starts every Monday until like it's 1 week out, and then you're fucked. Anyway, we won't talk about Yanni's weight today, but it's not good.
we won't talk about it, but let me just say one thing about that.
Yeah, it's the only thing I'm saying is it's not great. So Beth's best total is 530, which was 2023 in April. So last year, about sort of 18 months ago. And Yanni's best total is 535, so just 5 kilos above what Beth's is, and that was done in June. So a bit more recent form from Yanni, although Beth has been looking really, really good in training, and I'm really excited to see this one.
What squat did Beth do on that total?
At the 530,
Yeah.
she did 197.5.
Yep.
Yeah, but the bench was only 120, and she's benched I think 135 or 132.5.
And I feel like that is probably one of the bigger question marks in regard to that total, but maybe, you know, of recent days. So how many comps, tangent, how many comps has Beth done since that 530?
She's done 2. So she did
And
a
she's
500
Yep.
where she hurt her knee like that week.
Yeah, I
so she
recall.
only squatted 171
Yep.
and still hit 500.
Yep.
And then the following comp, she did 510, which was nationals.
Yep.
Missed her first squat on depth, so retook it. So
Yep.
conservative third squat, missed a almost 5 kilo jump on bench.
Yep.
and then made 3 deadlifts. Her third deadlift at 210 was actually quite easy.
And last question, what did she deadlift on the 530?
She deadlifted 212 and a half.
Yeah.
So that's actually her best. That's her best squat, bench, and deadlifting competition all on the same day.
Bench moving, deadlift being in form, and squat hopefully returning to best form would be great to see.
Yeah.
And you'd see a really amazing total there. Yeah.
And so if we're looking at the records there, the squat record is still the standard. It's 190. Best obviously done 197.5 a while ago. She's definitely a chance at around 190, 195. But Yanni did 205 recently, so she'll most likely finish with the squat record unless she has a bad squat day.
Yep.
The bench record is 120, which is Beth's record. I fully expect Beth to be into the mid 130s. Yanni benched 117.5 at her last comp. She's done 120 a few times this prep and 125 as well last week, which is good. We'll see how that holds up with the cut. But I'd expect to see her in the low 120s, like 122. And then deadlift, the record is 217.5. And I expect they'll both be a bit above 217.5. Yanni recently did 212. Beth's best is 212. So yeah, we'll see a dogfight for that deadlift record as well.
And training wise, I get the feeling that Beth's had good momentum with the deadlift. I get the feeling like it, from the tone.
Yeah.
Was Yanni actually in the 84 class for that 530?
535, yeah, she was.
Yep. Sweet as. So went through the cutting process there, all went well.
Yeah. So she's actually in the same spot she was with her body weight this time as last comp. So we're actually recording this at 4.5 weeks out. It's going to be released at like 3 weeks out. So we're kind of talking from the past here for those listening. Whoa.
We're talking from the past.
So the total record's 510, which is what Beth totaled.
You realize every podcast you're talking from the past, right?
Yeah, but we're like talking from the past. Shut the fuck up, Chris. Fuck you, Chris.
Love you, Chris.
Total record is 510, which is below both of these lifters' capabilities.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think we'll see something close to 550 here.
And we're talking 5% plus there.
Yeah. 550 would be, I think, about 107.
Yeah. Because the 5% is like 25.5 kilos or something over 510.
Yeah.
535.5.
Yeah. So these two will both be
probably getting all these. I'm being super confident. There's someone at home's like, it's so wrong.
Yeah, Matt does not have a calculator on hand.
Bro. Yeah. What's wrong with this guy?
Yeah. So I fully expect both of these two to be vying for that podium, along with Isabella, along with Brittany, along with Liz and Vicky. I think that's kind of our sort of top 6.
Yeah. Oh, sensational. I think that the moves we've seen between weight classes all make sensational. All make a lot of sense, and that it's exciting to see the tussles in the weight classes, and that we are going to see really similar over the percentage, which is the whole idea of the event. So I think it's all played out really nicely on the women's side.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the records kind of rise together.
Yes.
Because like right now, like we've spoken about, there's lifters going down or going up to sort of target those weaker ones, and we'll see that we'll kind of have quote unquote standards that are a bit higher and like kind of make the sport look better and look more professional and make our federation look stronger.
And it also, I think, is cool because then at nationals, it's less of a gift sitting there for you to chip. And that when you do, because the idea of achieving a record and getting in a chip advantage is that it's quite hard to come by.
Yes.
Whereas like it's not been that way with standards, which is natural. So I think it puts into the records into the place they should be, which is that they're rare.
Yep.
And when you do achieve them, you gain an advantage because they're extremely hard to come by.
And I think it's actually really like a real positive that some of the records are actually still standards, because it means that they weren't actually broken at nationals because there wasn't anyone at that standard.
Oh yeah, it's
I was the one who did the research for the standards.
Yeah, you did great.
And like, thanks. And thanks, guys.
I would agree there. Like ultimately, like when you make a standard, sometimes the standards are just like really run of the mill, and they are knocked over by like 100 kilos if they're totals, for example. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Like some standards still sitting there means that they were reasonable.
Yeah, and I didn't. Yeah, what I really didn't want, because when we set the standards up, it was so close to nationals. It was like, hey, here are the standards. Everyone's like, a few weeks out from comp. I didn't want 7 or 8 people going for one record, and then on their second attempts, 5 people have chips.
And chips everywhere. Yeah,
complete
exactly.
nightmare.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose. It's not the idea. Of
records
the chips.
need to be at a national standard. Like that's what a standard is. Like that standard needs to be an actual standard worth fucking achieving.
Standard.
Standard. Say standard again, Alex. Fuck. So the last thing we'll do on the women preview is we're going to do the Queen of the Jungle, which is my little segment on who's actually going to have the biggest squat, the biggest bench, and the biggest deadlift out of everyone, which I think is a cool little segment. So squat, I think we have 2 contenders for squat. It's going to come down to Izzy versus Yanni. I would say.
Yeah.
I think, we'll see what Izzy's got. Like, she's been hiding her training. Obviously, I coach Yanni, so I know what she's.
I mean, Izzy rolling in and doing a 200 to see where she was at.
Yeah.
Yanni did 205 at her last comp.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was good.
There's a bit of room.
Maybe 2.5.
Maybe 2.5.
She's squatting better in this.
And she's done better this prep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think we'll see closer to 210 from both of them, which I think is really sick.
Yep.
So bench, Queen of the Bench is probably between Beth and Yanni. I would say Beth would be like a odds-on favorite at like $1.05. Do you know what that means?
No, I don't bet. Yeah, I don't bet.
Do you know what that means, Chris?
No, Alex, why don't you explain that?
No, I'm not going to do that. Gamble responsibly.
This might defeat the purpose of the whole like Queen of the Jungle, King of the Jungle thing. Would it be like cool as well to see where everyone's like individual coefficient was at too, or is it more about like overall? Like
I'm just kind of thinking like, fuck, who's going to lift last and lift the most?
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
I think like the GL thing's a bit. I don't want to do that much maths right now. You know.
Yeah. It's also like depends on your perspective. Like it's nice to be able to compare, but it's like a slight cope sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like I lift you by more.
Yeah, I have a 3.4 times body weight squat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think bench will be Beth. I would say quite comfortably.
Yeah, you would expect so.
And deadlift, there's quite a few in the running for deadlift. So we got Kate's best 215.
84 girls will be 215.
Kelly's best is
220 plus.
209. Isabella's best is 222 and a half. Shania's best will be around 215. Yanni's best 212. Best 212. So I think we got like six contenders.
Cool.
Which is going to be sick because it's all going to be at the end. Like they're all going to be in a row.
Yep.
We might see like 2.5 jump, 1 kilo jump, 2.5 jump, like for the last 6 deadlifts, which I think will be really sick. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, sweet.
I'm going to do a little quick break because I got to go to the bathroom and then we'll come back for the men's.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Chris. We are back. And we are doing the men's preview show for SBD Australia Cup. So we got 12 men lifting. We've got all weight classes except for the 59s and the 120s. So we've got more squish in the middle. So we'll start with the 66 class. We've got one lifter, Andrew Trieu. So this year's national champion in the 66 class. Best total 639, which is also the record. You're more privy to Andrew's training than I would be, given you train with him, like actually with him at Breakthrough. So tell me about his chances of breaking his own squat record of 234.
I think that firstly, his training has been going well. He's been pacing himself nicely. Squat has been looking strong. I think there's a bit yet to find out. He's someone who I think has to wait till that like very end of the prep to see how he turns up, in a sense. But so far he's been doing really, really well. I think he did 220 yesterday on a secondary day, and he's like, I tend to squat about 10 kilos more than that on my primary of the same week. So we might see 230 from him this week comfortably.
Cool.
You said it was 238?
234.
234? Okay. I think he's got a very good chance of getting over that on the day.
He's also really good at grinding as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Very similar to Vicky. Like
once again, like with a couple of things like grinding and also just like different style of squatting in terms of like shape change and like moving through the squat differently to what you might normally expect. And I say that because I've watched him, spotted him, and other people who are more experienced spotting him and training with him at prior gyms, that is chill. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Is he going to miss the next rep or something? And he has like 4 more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I alluded to this for the deadlift with the lighter weight women. I think it's a lighter weight trend, like your Panas and like, guys like Andrew. Pana, you like him? Is you see this ability to, like, you okay, man? You see his ability to like grind through lifts a lot. That really startled you, eh?
I was like, whoa, I'm getting fucking called out here.
So long story short, his squat's looking really good. And I think, he'll definitely show up with the ability to chip over that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be looking at Andrew for the squat record. The bench record is Yuki's at 160.5. Andrew's best 147.5. So
Yeah,
probably
won't
won't
be looking at
won't
that.
go near that, but he'll be looking to add kilos to the total. Obviously,
Yeah.
he'll need every kilo he can to get his score high enough.
Yeah, and he has been looking good on bench. But yeah, he won't be pushing.
Yeah, I've seen 140s and 145s and stuff from him already. So yeah, he's looking good.
He's been
And
moving
deadlift,
nice.
his best is 260. The standard on the record standard is 265. So I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't attempt it.
I can definitely see him going over that substantially. And I say that because coming into Worlds Prep, it looked that way. I think he had pulled like a really, really smooth 260 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, you're going to pull 265, 270 or something. And then it didn't really show up on the day for him at Worlds.
Yep.
And then again, this prep, he's been looking really, really good. So the other day he pulled 250, I think also on a secondary day. Classic, just like high intensity approach again for a lighter weight guys. Blows my mind. Pulled 250, looked like he had 5 to 10 in it on the secondary day. So yeah, he's coming in.
Cool, yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's gonna be
he
nice.
has pulled 260 in the past. He's attempted 266. Obviously, he only needs 265 to set the record. Like, he doesn't need to do any more than that. But he can take any 0.5 kilo chip over that to perhaps, like, get his total score up high.
Oh, is it a
enough for the
standard?
overall? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
265.
so you
yeah,
match
it's a
it.
standard.
You match it to break
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see Andrew. I can't imagine he'll do like, into like the 660s or anything like that. So his overall score may not be super competitive with the other guys, but it'll be cool to see him push that total record because it's already quite impressive total record for that class.
Yeah, and that's the reality. I think he gets that. That's the mindset coming in. It's someone who has recently pushed that total and they're not going to put 20 or 30 on it, and you just have to accept that and keep moving forward. He was speaking about a weight class change in the future to me.
Go up.
Yeah. I don't know exactly when that'll be. I think he'd like to maybe get another Worlds in or something like that if he can win again. But he was starting to speak about 74s a little bit, just a conversation.
Yeah.
Not sure the timing exactly on that, but yeah.
Yeah, it is quite a big step up from 66 to 74 in Australia.
Yeah, I think as well, though, he's such a strong guy at 66, and he's actually quite a long sort of 66 in terms of like his legs and his squat style.
Pause.
Bruh, get your mind out of the gutter. So, like, in terms of his leverages, he's got long legs, and so I think if he does fill out into the 74, I think you could see quite a boost from him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And he's already like super jacked as well. So like
Yeah.
that helps as well.
Is he?
I don't know. You tell me.
Andrew's very handsome.
He's a good guy.
Very handsome, good guy. He's a
All right,
teacher.
moving on. 74 class. We've got one lifter. We've got Kian.
Tell me about Kian.
This one is like, for me, probably the most like interesting because he doesn't really post much of his training and he is looking really, really strong in the training that he is posting. The Nationals performance he had, he actually missed all of his thirds and he still came in with 713 at 74, which is, where are we? Which is 23 and a half kilos below the record. Had he made all his thirds, he would have been right there for the win, like right there for a chance. So looking at his history of competition, he's actually made huge progress recently in the last few meets. His comp before Nationals, he did 675 and then he did 713. So, that was with a few missteps.
And he was
as well.
planning.
Yeah, and I'm
something
sure he
much
was
bigger.
planning in the 730s.
Well, obviously, right?
So he's one to look out for. That's kind of, I think, flying under the radar a little bit. So the squat record is 283. Kian's best is 268. So maybe we see him attempt that.
But again, if he missed a third and his
missed
268 was the second,
Yeah, 268 was
he
his
was
second.
thinking about that.
Well,
probably.
His third was 271.5, which he missed. So very small jump.
In reality, he ended up attempting 271. But I mean, if you're planning 268, I would hope you were aiming for 278 or 280, something like that. Maybe that's not true.
Yeah,
But
I
if he
mean,
was
like
just-
we said before, we see a lot of these like quite small second to
Yeah.
third jumps.
Let's give benefit of the doubt that they were planning a normal jump. We might actually see something like that.
Yeah. And now that the record is so high, there won't be that sort of like enticement to kind of go after the record on your second, which
right?
we see.
On
Yeah,
your
so,
second, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see how he goes. I think he'll end up in the 280s, which would be really cool.
Yep.
The bench record is probably out of reach for him. It's 176.5. His best is 165. missed 170 at nationals, so maybe not like crazy out of reach. But
Yeah.
again, like he's a bit of a dark horse because he doesn't post a lot of his
hard to
training.
tell,
He's a bit
yeah.
hidden. So we could see a huge bench from him as well.
Yep.
And the deadlift record is 301, which is Leo, and I would be really, really surprised if Keane didn't hit that. He posted a 290 double that he did just the other day, which was like really smooth and nice, long hold at the top with a hook grip. So I would be extremely surprised if he didn't take that deadlift record.
See the solo 74?
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, again, he'll be sort of running his own race, just chipping away at the total, and
74 total record
the
is
74 total record is 736.5.
okay.
Which I don't think is out of reach for Keane on a really good day.
So we may be expecting him similarly to Andrew to potentially pip the total, but not by an awful lot if he has a great day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think on a really good day, Keane gets close to the squat, close to the bench, takes
Pushes
the deadlift and the total.
takes the total.
If he plays it smart, like if he doesn't try to take one of those squat or bench records and kind of like
Miss one lift and you're not even in the
because
conversation.
if he
for it.
misses one, he's got no chance at the total.
Total, yeah.
Unless his jumps are tiny. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. 83s. Got 3 blokes in the 83s. We have James Lee, Kana, and Emilio. Total record is 776, which is Kana's record, with a pretty easy deadlift on that day.
Yep.
His squat and bench were pretty much maxed out that day.
Do you feel like his squat was?
I think so, yeah. 'Cause he was getting those shakes towards the top.
Okay.
It maybe had 2.5, but like,
Okay.
yeah, I think it was quite close to maxed out on that day. Also, as we spoke about in the Nationals review show, like he only weighed in at 81. I know he's been training at about 83, 84. So,
Yep.
that could help out with some squat and bench load. James Lee's best total, 753. Emilio's best total, 750.
50? Yep.
So James and Emilio, super close. I don't expect James or Emilio to be super close to Kana at this one, but they do have chances at individual records. So we'll go over those individual records now. The squat is Kana's 290.5. I wouldn't write off James at attempting this. I know Kana will certainly attempt more than that, provided he's healthy and has a good day. You've been privy to James's training. Can you give me an insight into how he's going with his squats?
I know he had been dealing with a bit of a knee thing. He has been saying he's been more on top of it this block, and he's had like some good prep work, and he's been pacing a little bit better. So I haven't been catching up with him for as many sessions as some of his previous preps, so I'm not able to comment as accurately. He obviously has squatted 290 in the past.
Yep.
And so,
Did that before nationals. Yep.
yeah, if he does come in nicely, and he hit that really nicely. If he does come in nicely and he can feel healthy on the day, we can expect to see that kind of level from him.
Yep.
But yeah, he has been nursing something there and dealing with something there, which I mean happens to a lot of athletes. They can still come in well. He did remark like this is the first time he's had to deal with something whilst prepping, so it is a new thing for him. But yeah, he seems to be building confidence every week. When I speak to him, how you feeling? Yeah, better than last week. Okay, great. So he's in a good spot.
Yeah. So he attempted the 291 straight after Kana did 290.5 at nationals, and it wasn't that close actually, but it definitely shows that he's sort of in that range and like definitely a chance for that squat record.
Yeah, and I think the nature from what I've seen with James Squat is that there isn't much of a middle ground in terms of like missing and making. So, he could be a couple kilos over the limit and it looks not very close. So he might have had 285 to 288 that day or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Emilio, his best squat is 260, so he's kind of out of the hunt for the
With
squat record.
Yep. He'll be trying to get as much as he can.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, he's done 260. He's posted some of his rep work like in the 210, 220 range, and has been looking really strong.
Yep.
So I would be expecting up around 270, 275 for
Yeah.
him.
I mean,
for
he
his
also
squat.
trains at Breakthrough.
Yeah.
He's
He's come in here for a couple of sessions actually.
Yeah, so he has, like, from the training I've seen, he's been training really well. He pretty much comes in most days saying, like, he's feeling it. He's getting pushed pretty hard, and, like, he has a pretty laborious job as well.
Yeah.
So, he's feeling it, and I think as well, even for himself, but looking at his training, you're going to find it a little tough to know what he has, because when he does really scale back, I think he turns up really nicely if he has that pop. So, yeah, it'd be great to see him hit a really solid PR across the squat. That'd be great.
Yeah, I would be expecting somewhere in the 270s for his squat, which will be, again, building his total. His best squat is 260 with a 750 total. So if he can get that squat into the 260 with a 750 total. If he can get that squat into the 270s, he's like adding kilos to that total. and definitely a chance at pushing on for that total record as well. So bench press, the record is 186, and I actually think all three of these guys will have a pretty solid crack at it. James' best is 177.5, missed 182 in the past. His 177.5 at Nationals was actually quite comfortable. He had a miss on his opener, so that kind of altered what the plan was. Kana's best is 180.5, and Emilio's best is 180. So they're all sort of within sort of 5 to 7.5 kilos of that record.
Who has the record?
Jonathan Caruso, bench 186.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd expect they all kind of have a bit of a fight for that record, or maybe one of them pulls back and just does 185 or 182.5, depending on how they're playing it for the total.
Yep.
But that'll be an interesting one to watch. And then finally, the deadlift is actually still the standard. It is 312.5. There was a few lifters who were kind of close to that range at Nationals, but no one made above that. Potsy attempted, 322.5 and didn't get it. So I wouldn't write James off 312.5, but he's probably like close to being written off for that. But I would definitely expect Kana and Emilio to be kind of going and jostling for that one.
James pulled 300 in the prep for Nats, and then can you see what he pulled at Nationals? It was like 295.
295.
Yeah, and he smoked that.
Yeah, it was really good.
I wouldn't expect him to be up at that 312 level just yet, though. But if he comes in well, he has shown that he's good for 300 and a bit. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think you're probably right there. Yep.
Yeah, I think James will be sort of in the low 300s, 302, 305
at best.
In that range.
Again, I think that how he's gone like with the knee, like again, I haven't seen a bunch of his deadlift training this particular prep. Like I've seen a bit of his squatting, seen a bit of his benching. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he turns up. He's even, for me, a bit of a dark horse as to where his training is at. So,
yeah, cool. Well, that makes it even more exciting. And then Kana's best deadlift is 305, which he absolutely smoked at Nationals. So I would definitely be expecting him to sort of be looking around that 312. Probably not upwards of like 320 or anything like that, but probably in that sort of 310 to 315 range.
Yep.
And then Emilio's best deadlift is 317.5. So obviously he's exceeded that record in the past. And I assume, will pull last and be able to decide who ends up with the deadlift record.
He also pulled 310 for a double about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was tough but good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean 310 double puts him in a pretty sweet spot if he's also feeling a bit smashed in training at the moment, which is true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that he'd be the favourite there for the deadlift. But
I agree, yeah.
Again, with Kana, also depends on strategy. Once again, where is Kana relative? We've already said that the likelihood is he's ahead of the other two, so he's not going to be as concerned about that tussle. He's going to be looking wider to see where he can podium.
Yep.
So he might ignore that deadlift. Emilia takes that deadlift and kind of goes more strategic around where he needs to be for the bigger picture.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd expect that to play out that way.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. So yeah, that's the 83s. And I think if we talk about an overall score, I know Kana's got his eyes on 800 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a score of...
What was the total record again?
776.
Yep. So 25 on that.
That would be a 103.
4%. Yeah.
That would be a 103.
Not bad.
Which is definitely going to be in the hunt, I think.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Particularly if we're just talking podium in general.
Yep.
Yep.
So moving on to the 93s, and we have two gentlemen in the 93s. We've got Ewan Belgrove, the national champion from this year, and we've got Josh Takua coming over from USAPL.
Mm-hmm.
So Josh has a best total of 815.
Stiff bar?
Let me just check when that 815 was. That 815 was a USAPL meet, so it was a stiff bar.
Yep.
So he did 302.5 squat, 190 bench, and 322.5 deadlift.
Mm-hmm.
Ewan's best total is 765. So a bit of a gap between Josh and Ewan there. I wouldn't expect that Ewan has much of a shot in the overall against Josh, but what will be interesting is the squat record.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest talking point for this class. So Ewan is the current holder of the squat record with 310.
Yep.
We mentioned Josh has done 302.5 raw, 320 in reps. He's done 320 recently in training, 300 for a
For
triple.
3, yeah.
So
Ewan-
he's looking strong, very strong.
Ewan did 310 for 2.
Ewan did 310 for a double. He's done some crazy rep work like 280 for 5 and stuff like that. So I think this one will be very, very close, and it may just come down to the lot number, like who's got the later lot number. They might pick the same attempt, and it might just be like one goes first, one goes next.
Yeah, and that's again from a tactics perspective of where are each of them opening, and getting eyes on what the others put in for the third, in terms of order beyond lot number as well.
Yeah. And I think the other important thing here is that Ewan was an 83 just last year. He's come up to the 93, hit an easy 310 at Nationals. Like, it was actually quite comfortable. And I saw Gaz, his coach, mention that he was dealing with an adductor strain. He didn't tell anyone about it. Didn't really like mention it with anyone throughout the comp prep, and they played it quite conservative because of that. And it's looked like that he's overcome that with how well his training has been, but also just growing into the class and like allowing himself more food for recovery and not having to worry about cutting down or anything like that. I think we're going to see a monster squat. Like, I think we're going to see 320 plus from both of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the only thing I find hard to read about Ewan's squat is that, to my eye, it can look easier than it is in reality.
Yes.
That suddenly, say for rep work, like suddenly it's like, oh, it's over. Or on a harder rep, you see him really struggle all of a sudden. And that's something that obviously the coach is going to know really, really well. And yeah, I think he's also been working hard on his depth.
Yep. Yeah, he has been
great.
looking a lot more convincing lately.
Which is awesome, because he had that
big issue for
situation,
him in
was
the
it
past.
at Worlds, where he got...
I'm fairly sure
Pulled a lot on
he
depth.
bombed out in
Yeah.
Romania 2023 Junior
Juniors.
Worlds.
Yeah.
He missed 300 3 times on
It's
depth.
going to shift your mindset. And he's clearly worked very hard on that, which is obviously important. And then for Josh, I think that he's looked in training like he has applied himself to a similar mindset coming from, any other federation. I think that it's a commonly known thing that at a national, international level IPF, you're getting, very high standard refereeing for depth. And I think recognizing that and training to that standard, you can see both these guys are doing that.
Yeah,
doing a
absolutely.
very, very good job.
Totally.
Yep.
So
yeah, that 320 plus sort of area, will we see, once again, I think that because you have Josh, who I'll say right now is definitely a front runner for the overall, I think he'll be less concerned about that squat record. I think he'll be playing his own game, and he'll be just trying to hit certain lifts, and if he happens to get the individual record, so be it. But I don't think he's going to be concerned about it if that potentially means reaching and missing a third. I just don't think that's going to be worth it.
And I think Ewan's kind of only chance at a record here is, he could hit the total if Josh has a bad day. But I think his only chance at an individual record is the squat. So I think that will be a very high priority for them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Whereas Josh will be a chance at the squat and the bench and the deadlift and the total and the overall. So he's got kind of more cards to play.
I think if we see Josh land in that 315 to 320 spot, I would call that a conservative plan, but probably quite a smart plan, unless he feels amazing. And that hopefully we see Ewan really push up into something massive. That's what I expect to see, and that's not really underselling anyone. That's just saying you've got bigger fish to fry potentially. But yeah, saying we're going to be seeing even 310 plus squats from 93s is amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool. And it's cool that we're even going to consider the two guys in the 93s for the biggest squat of the day as well, which is crazy. All these 105s are going to come out, and then Sam maybe in the 120s squatting less than them. And these two smallish boys are going to come out and out squat everyone.
It's similar to Isabella and 76ers, right, for
nuggets.
Isabella?
Yeah.
Yeah, similar sort of concept, right, with her squat. So it's very cool.
Super cool.
Yep.
So moving on to bench for the 93s, the current record is 192.5, which is the same as Josh's best raw. It did do that USAPL, so I'm not sure if he took advantage of the heels up rule in that federation or not. And obviously they don't have bench depth in the
USAPL heels up?
Yeah, they changed that about 2 years ago. You can have your heels up. Yeah.
I've not seen anyone benching heels up in USAPL. Maybe no one took it up.
Maybe no one does it.
Right,
But
I didn't know that.
You can have your head up as well.
What?
Yeah, they changed that rule a couple of years ago. So I don't think that he took advantage of that. And I have seen him bench in the 180s, mid 180s, his prep already, and he's looking strong. So I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't finish with that bench record as well. And it is still the standard of 192.5, so he doesn't have to chip. He can just take exactly 192.5.
For reference, I have not seen Josh bench heels up.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Yeah.
Well, he also changes, in the past has changed from one fed to another. So he's kind of quite adaptable in the rule set and the equipment and stuff like that.
Yep.
Ewan's best bench is 180, but as we said before, he's gone up into the 93. So, bench is the one lift that we kind of see explode often when people go up, and particularly when they settle in a weight class. He missed 185 at nationals.
Doesn't post it much. He could be having a
Hasn't
really good
posted
bench
much.
prep
That's
and
right.
do something good.
So there's not a huge difference between 185 and a 192
As you get bigger.
So
Yep.
we could see Ewan a chance at that too.
Yep.
The deadlift is 326 by Simon Chahadi, which he did at nationals, which was easy for him. Which I would definitely expect Josh to be having an eye on. He's done 335 before raw. I'm just going to check if that was deadlift bar.
Hey?
Come on, Alex.
I can't even find it.
You can do this.
Dun, 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 dun.
Lobby music.
It's alright, doesn't matter too much.
It says on here that he missed 335, but then it says on the top that his best is 335.
Yeah, right, okay.
He's at least done 322, 325, 327.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him pull
330
320 countless
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Deadlift bar, stiff bar. He does at times seem to have an easier time with his lockout for the heavier deadlift bar stuff. But I still think that he has a passable lockout most of the time on his stiff bar, 310s, 320s and things like that.
Yep.
I'm really interested to see where he's going to land with all of his lifts, to be honest with you, because it has been a minute since he's been in an IPF competition.
Long time.
But he's got so much experience. He's super strong.
And we should also talk about, like, Josh is an actual legend in powerlifting.
Yeah,
Like, he's
exactly. Yeah.
multiple worlds competitor for New Zealand.
Yep.
Moved to Australia, like kind of bounced around federations a little bit because of all the nonsense going on in Australia.
Yep.
But now he's back and, hopefully committed to going to worlds and stuff and
Yeah,
repping
absolutely.
Australia, which is sick.
So yeah, I'm just eager to see where he lands because he's obviously so strong. He's done some tremendous training lists. I think maybe different to the standard that'll be required on the platform. Like say some recent squatting he's done where I think he squatted like 330 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but I think he's clearly gone, yep, okay, that's a gym lift, and he's assessed the standard needed, and he's lifting a little bit less.
Yeah.
But like we said, still landing probably around that 320 plus mark if
Yeah.
needed,
Yeah.
and might take a little bit less for the overall
Yeah,
game
so-
plan. So
Yeah, obviously the priority there is the total because the total is what determines the overall placing. And as we said before, Josh is going to be looking really good for that overall.
Yeah.
Even if he were to just match his best total of 815 raw, that would be a score of
30 up. It's like 3.5 to 4% up, I think. It's like 780 something. So it's a
103.8. So that would be.
Hey, I am a calculator.
You don't need a calculator. So that would be 103.8 if he just matches his best total. If he beats his best total, he'll be looking into the 104, 105s.
Yep.
Which I think will be very competitive in this men's field.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to maybe the most definitely the most hotly contested weight class, the 105 boys. We've
Yeah.
got 4 boys in the 105s. And they all have the same best total of 822.5, which is also the record. Now, we saw Michael and Tom kind of pull down a little bit at nationals.
Yes.
Before that, I'll actually mention who the 4 people are. So we've got Michael Rand, we've got Hung Fan coming over from USAPL, we've got Yanni Muselis, and we've got Tom Chaplin.
Yep.
So Yanni did 822.5 last year at States.
States, yep.
Then Rand pulled exactly 822.5 on
Yep,
bodyweight.
I was coaching him.
Chaplin did 822.5 at nationals. He went first.
Yep.
Rand matched him on bodyweight, and then Sam Forsberg came in and matched him on bodyweight.
Yep.
And then Hung, that actual same weekend of nationals, did 822.5, but weighing
98.5, I think.
98.9, yeah.
Yeah.
So all 4 of these boys, exact same total.
On his
And-
second deadlift.
Yeah, he
Missed
missed.
his third.
He missed his third.
Yep.
So all 4 of these boys, exact same total, and definitely under different circumstances. With, as we said, Chaplin pulling back a little bit, Rand pulling back a little bit. They probably did have a little bit more. Rand just competed at Worlds and did 820, so 2.5 off that, missing a 12.5 kilo jump on his final deadlift, which literally slipped out of his hands right at the top. So, yeah, let's talk about the squat first.
Mm-hmm.
So the record is 312.0, which is Murdad, who was around, I think he totaled about 812. So he was like right, very, very close to these boys.
Yep.
So Murdad with a 312.0 squat. So of these boys, I think the only one with an actual legitimate chance of that is Yanni.
Really?
Of doing 312.
Tom?
I don't know about 312. What's he done? 305.
He's 305 at Nats. Look, might have had 5 in it.
Okay.
And so I would say Tom's a good chance at that.
Okay.
He also is like probably like all these boys are super strong, and all these boys on a strong day I think are right there. Tom for me is the one carrying the most long-term momentum, and so I would definitely be putting his name down for that record personally.
Well, looking at the open powerlifting as well, Hung's done 310, weighing 105.9.
Yes, Hung is also one.
I'll eat my words. There's 3 of them in the running for this record.
I think I would say like agree with you that Yanni would be the first one out of my mouth to say who's the most likely to be in that zone. He's looked like he should be squatting 320 at points, and so I think if he turns up well, I think Yanni will be the strongest squatter.
Yeah, just whether he makes this or not. Yeah,
exactly. And how his prep's been, like he tends to keep his prep pretty veiled. And then Tom, I think that if he's pushing more relentlessly and not being quite as conservative minded as he was at Nats, and I think that team, that partnership probably have assessed and recognized that and hopefully worked on that. And I think if we continue to see a more competitive package from Tom and him actually pushing harder in the squat to start with, I could definitely see him getting there. The thing with Tom, like from my perspective, is like he has such a good tanky squat is the way I'd describe it, is that it's like he could just squat a truck. Like I feel like if he's on, he could squat something huge, you know. And he does something I've noticed when I watch the training that he does post is he has some days where you can literally see the fatigue sitting on him because there's no leakage in terms of the efficiency of his squat. Some days his squat just sits low in terms of the ability. Some days he just looks crazy. I'm like, what is going on here? The variance is incredible.
Just fresh.
And again, when you time it correctly, I think if he comes in well, like I could really see him do something big there.
Yep.
Hung, I see as less likely to like go there because the recent squat's 300. I think if he's good for 307, 310 and he takes that and plays that longer game, he's that other runner for the competitiveness with like Takua.
Yeah, on the podium, But he's also the best deadlifter as well, so he can kind of sit back and build a subtotal and not worry too much about maximizing.
Mindful that like all these 105s are going to be closely competing with each other to get the best percentage and also be the winner of the 105s. Not discounting anyone there. What I'm saying with Hung is that the squat is not necessarily the one where I expect him to go and try and squat 315 and be super aggressive with it.
Yeah.
I expect him to add like 5, 7 or 10 kilos to his recent squat to then, push on with, I know he's made really, move the bench soon, I know, but he's made great bench progress for the extra weight and he's the biggest deadlifter. So yeah, squats wise, I feel like there's a few there.
Yeah. And Michael's done 300
Michael,
as well.
Michael hopefully hits a good squat.
Yeah. He's kind of been around 300, 295 or 300 for a couple of years.
What did he squat at States?
He did 300 at States.
Yep.
Sorry, he did 305 at States.
305. See, that was an interesting one because he had a really good performance there on the squat. And if you could take that prep and go, okay, let's say he improves slightly on that, once again, he's actually right there at a potential 307, 310 squat.
I'm just going off the recent because he did 295 at Worlds and it was right on the money maximal.
Absolutely.
Not 2.5
absolutely. But such as it goes, like when someone has achieved a certain lift, all it takes is a well-connected prep to be back there. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Like
he's also in his backyard for this one, not, Rand's obviously
in terms of
Sydney.
like likelihood, I would definitely expect Yanni to come away with the Scott record. I expect Tom to be above the current record, but just below Yanni, and then Hung to play his day on squat and move on, and hopefully we see make an equal PR from Michael would be great. 305 would be awesome from him.
It'd be cool if they're all around sort of within 10 kilos of each other right at the start, and then it's
that'd be sick. Yeah.
So moving on to bench, the current record is 205, which is actually still the standard. So they would only need 205 exactly to get this one. Rand's best is 200. Hung's best is 185. Yanni's best is 202.5. And Tom's best is 202.5. So we've kind of got 3 contenders for this one. I would kind of put Hung to the side on this one and say that it's the other 3 boys contending for this bench.
I agree. Yep.
And again, I would actually put my money on Yanni to be the one that ends with it. He's kind of the one who seems to have the most sort of in his tank on bench press. Tom actually benched 200 really, really nicely at Nationals, played it conservative, probably had probably had 5 left.
I think I saw Tom bench 202 in training the other day
Yes,
as well, so he's
yeah.
looking on form.
Yeah. So Tom and Yanni as sort of like the favourites for this bench record, with Rand kind of chipping at the heels.
I haven't seen as much of Yanni's training this prep. He was training heaps more at BT last prep. Haven't seen much of him this prep. Last time I saw him benching, I know he was having some troubles, but then just as he started training elsewhere again, he was saying things were feeling better again. So I think I'd expect Yanni to be coming in on form.
Yeah.
I'd honestly expect all these guys to be coming in on form. Like I would never, without knowing that their lifting hasn't been going well, I'd never be expecting otherwise.
Yeah. I can talk most on Tom's training because he posts the most of it, and he's actually looking on fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Hung posted 8:35 in training, I think
it was
last
8:40.
block, 8:35 or 8:40.
Yeah, I think it was 8:40.
Yeah, and like Hung's someone who does have a tendency to train and I guess like produce a lot of training fatigue and do his performance weeks in those weeks,
Yeah.
and then scale back quite hard and generally come in a bit stronger.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. You can only really comment on who's posting.
Yeah.
And Michael doesn't post much. He just memes Yanni.
He actually also doesn't even
On Instagram.
He memes Yanni, man.
Yeah.
That was so funny, that whole thing.
It's funny seeing the boys go back and
That was
forth and
classic.
playing around with each other.
Yeah, but Rand, the way Rand trains is actually quite similar to Kana in that like it's volume work up to like the
Yeah.
final block, and then it's
Top
one
sets.
block of top sets.
Yep.
And so it's quite hard to gauge where the predictions are
Can be.
this
Yep.
early. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yep.
Deadlift, the current record is 345, which is Sam Forsberg's record.
Yep. Legendary lift.
Rand missed this at Worlds, so he's certainly in the running. Hung has pulled 345. Is his best in competition. I think he's done 355 in
55
training.
in training. Yep.
Yanni's best is 310, so he's out of the running for this one. And Tom's best is 317.5, so he's probably out of the running for this one as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be really interesting I would expect that Hung is the last to pull, and he'll have the final say.
Yeah, and he won't mind me saying this. I have had discussions with Hung. He was training here the other week, and I've said to him, "Oh, look, if it comes down to it, and you need to pull to beat the other 105s, or pull more to try and beat overall, which would you choose?" And he essentially said,
Yeah.
overall.
And I had the same conversation with Yanni yesterday, who I coach. Yanni's out in the 84 women's, and I was like, "Oh, if it's X number, will we load it?" And she's like, "Yes." Like she literally said, "Load whatever it is," which is like obviously not what we're gonna do. Like there's obviously got to be a limit somewhere, but
Yeah, nah.
But yeah, no.
I mean, that's part of what's going to be exciting.
300.
I think that's part of what's going to be exciting about it. Like, yep, we've seen a 345 pull from Hung in competition. We've seen the 355 from him in training. Stars align. Can he pull over 360? Will he need 361 to win or to podium what he wants to podium, and maybe 356 to beat the 105s? You know what I mean? Like that's going to be cool.
And that's the beauty of having the big pull at the end is you just do the maths correctly and you just pick the half kilo increment, and it's pretty fun at the end.
Yeah.
Cool. So as we mentioned, Hung's definitely a contender for the podium alongside literally all 4 of these 105s. It'll be interesting to see who comes out of the 105s and whether that's enough to challenge Kana and to challenge Josh Takua.
I think as well, the thing with the 105s, a couple things that I think make this class really interesting right now, and there are other things that make it interesting in the future, but is that a lot have gone under their capacity for reasons, and we've said this is the difference between like national and international versus this event. And I also think that the variance in performance when all the variables get nailed down correctly versus not quite right because the total is larger, there can be bigger variance as well. So you can see someone roll in who did more conservatively at nationals but had a good day and was strong, has prepped really well since, and then the stars really, really align for them and produce a massive total. So that's part of what I think is exciting about it too, is you really can't count anybody out. And I hope that all of these 105s really throw their full weight at it and try to really empty the tank, because it's the kind of event to do that.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for that. Thanks, Chris. We're back.
You're all done the wee time?
Yeah, sorry, I need another toilet break.
It's been 38 minutes since the
I
last
know.
one.
So bad. All right, so final lifter of the men's, Sam Butterworth, lifting on his own in the 120s.
Yep.
So recently came second at nationals with 830 and attempted a 273 deadlift for the win, which was like 373 deadlift. Sorry,
I was going to say 273.
such a big number.
Yeah, bro. wild.
373 deadlift he attempted for the win, which got to just below the knee. Wasn't crazy far off. Maybe 10 kilos off. I don't know. Hard to say.
Hard to say.
But overall, he didn't have a great meet. And even the fact that he was still able to load something for the win after not performing very well on squat and on bench probably tells us that he's a lot closer to that total record than we probably thought. That 830 is not really indicative of where he was at, obviously because he took a 33 kilo jump to the final deadlift. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how Sam goes because he's actually a chance at a few records as well, particularly the squat deadlift total. So squat record is 322.5. Recently did 315 in training. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Very nice.
His training's been looking
super
great.
smooth.
Yeah.
He's been training really well. He only squatted 305 at nationals, and that matched his best all time. But that was definitely a down day. And 315 was great. I wouldn't be surprised if he attempted that 322.5 because it is the standard, so he doesn't need to go over it. So yeah, I think that's probably his goal. Like his first thing to tick off for the day would be to attempt that. What do you think there?
Yeah, I would expect that if the best is 305, which is what you just said, right? That it might be the ultimate goal if everything feels perfect. But I would not be surprised if, because, Sam, I think, is most likely coming into, maybe achieve records and get some prize money and things, but it's also an opportunity to do a, high level meet to keep preparing himself for nationals and things like that. And I would dare say that if you asked him, that would more be his priority. So creating a runway to where he might be able to squat 325 to 330 at nationals might look more like taking 315 or 317 at this comp. Yeah. So I'd be interested to know if that was even on his radar, although I wouldn't be surprised if it could be on his radar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
That's where I think
it just comes down to priorities. Like, does he care more about building the total or does he actually want to knock that off? Because I imagine that's a record that, Josh did 320 at Worlds. He's very close to it. Tristan Sunday, he's pretty close to it. Sam's obviously close to it. So it's not like he's going to hold that for a long time or anything. It may not be worth attempting it. Like you said, it may be better off for him to go 312, 315, 317, and get his day off to a really good start to then get closer to that total record.
Total record, exactly.
Because that's probably the main goal, I would say, for Sam, is to put up enough on his subtotal to then be able to pull something that allows him to hit the total record.
I would expect that would be the mindset, especially because there's such a big gap from where his previous best squat is. I would expect him to come in and take a big jump from that 305, but not necessarily to be too worried about the squat record, hunting the thing that's probably very important to him, which is to be the biggest total in the weight class.
Yep.
Heading into nationals, because I don't think Josh is doing another competition ahead of nationals. So
he's not. He's coming here to spot and load.
Yeah, so look, coming in with the biggest total, I think is way more important. I mean, obviously, if he hits a squat record, he sets himself up too. But the risk of missing it and not achieving that total record, I don't think is worth it.
Yeah, like we said, he was, within earshot of winning and essentially setting the total record. Only squatting 305. So if it's 315, it's actually very, very close. So bench for Sam, his best is 190. The record is 217.5. So we won't even talk about that. He'll be looking to just go 6 for 6 and pick up enough kilos to then.
What did he bench at Nats?
He benched. I should know this because
I know that the 190. I know that the 190 was a surge, and then he had a bit of a dip from there, or maybe he benched 2 in training.
He benched one. He did bench 200 in training.
Yeah.
He benched 190. The comp before at Queensland States, and then he missed 190 at Nationals.
Got it.
And he actually kind of just fucked it up. His 185 was okay. He went +5.
And
he kind of pressed around it and pressed forward, and he got really, really close at lockout, but wasn't quite there.
I've seen a lot of his squats and deadlifts this prep. I haven't seen a lot of his benching this prep.
No, neither.
Have you? No.
No, I haven't.
So, look, we'll see how he goes. Hopefully he can come in and hit a nice little PR. That'd be great. And that would continue to set him up really nicely.
Yeah.
What would he need to pull for the total record if he got 317 and 192?
317 and 192. Let me just...
What's the total record again?
862.5.
862.5. 192. Sorry, say the total record again?
862.5.
Shush. 862.5.
Yeah.
Take 192. We said 317.
So he would need 352.5.
352. Yeah.
Which is
to equal.
He would need 352.5 to equal, so 353 to take the record.
Yep.
The standard is 352.5. So,
Got you. Right. Okay,
so
that's right.
I wouldn't actually be surprised if, if Sam has a good day on the subtotal and he's like 315, 317, 190, 195, somewhere in there, that he takes 352 or 353 on the second and then loads up something huge for the crowd. Like, I reckon that's probably like the ideal scenario for Sam. And then maybe he's like at 880, which would be fucking crazy.
Yeah, well, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I think Sam is in a really, really good spot to take this total record.
That's so cool that we're talking about these kinds of totals for 120s because that 888 has been there for so long.
Yeah.
And we're seeing guys coming through ready to push past that soon.
Yeah, well, we've got we've got 4 800 kilo totals this year. So Josh, Sam, Florian Locke, and then Tristan did 837.5 at Worlds. So, yeah, we're looking like there's going to be quite a few contenders to take over Cameron's best, and then maybe Cameron will come back.
What year did he set that in?
2016.
16, I thought
and he was a junior. That was a junior world record.
That was in
total.
Christchurch, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was a junior world record total back then.
Self-coached.
And then he got hurt a lot.
And he got back up to, not to tangent too much into him, but he got back up to like 860 or so in that Hunter comp, and he was looking like he was on the way, and then didn't hear from him again.
He had a lot of 860, 870s sort of after the 888, because he never really had anyone to push him in Australia, and he would just like rock up to nationals and deadlift whatever he needed on his third to win overall. Yeah, because he would go last.
Yeah, I remember we spoke about this at depth when we did the whole Nats preview and how that sort of changes the mindset around pushing yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah, Cam kind of got messed up by the APU thing. Like he was promised a spot at Worlds and then it was pulled away from him, and then he kind of disappeared. I actually invited him to the comp, but he's getting married and he'll be in his honeymoon, so he didn't have time to prep.
Oh, you invited him to compete?
I invited him.
Oh, cool.
So he did seem really interested, and I think the fact that there's more lifters who are now close to where he is or even better than where he is currently, that may motivate him to give it another crack, because he's a year younger than me, so he's 31 this year, so he's not like so old that he's done. I mean, I'm so old that I'm done, but he's not. So like that would be really fucking cool if Cam came back and
that was an opportunity to roast him.
Yeah, you missed it, Josh. Yeah, so I'm really excited for Sam because I think like that total record isn't outrageous at all, and I think if he just puts up a good subtotal, he'll be able to put himself in a position to pull for it.
Yeah.
And then, maybe he pulls for it on the second, like I said, and then he's looking at the podium. And he's obviously the last puller. No one's going to pull after him. He might be able to nab a podium spot at the end, which would be really cool.
Yeah. So if he got 4 or 5%, he'd have to get closer to sort of 900. So, I mean,
I guess it will come down to it'll come down to how
Kana performs and even where like Josh is putting things, because I think what also will matter is like where people are, how many reach for that, and then where they potentially fall to, whether it opens up that second and third.
We saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of that at Sheffield, the males this year. Like there was a lot of misses at the end, and then I think Delaney ended up coming second or third,
reaching and dropping.
And he was like predicted to come last.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the men's recap. We'll quickly do King of the Jungle. So squat. Who's going to squat the most? Probably Takua or Ewan.
Yanni, I think.
Out of everyone?
We said Yanni would be more like that 315, 317. Yeah, Takua or Ewan. Who would I say of the two?
Maybe Sam.
Yeah, where do we say Sam would maybe land?
315 to 317. He did 315 in training.
It's hard to say between Takua and Ewan. When you put that poll up, I put Takua down. But Ewan, like, man, you never know.
I actually think it will be Ewan because I think Takua will play it.
That's right.
Safe.
Yep.
So I actually think it will be Ewan, but I think there's actually like 4 or 5 guys who.
In terms of capability, I think that like Takua and Ewan could be extremely close there. But like what we said before, Takua likely just like holds his horses a little bit, and we end up with Ewan squatting the most. Yep.
So biggest bench will be.
But like Yanni, I mean, like when I said Yanni initially, like I kind of hold that too, where I'm like he could come in and hit something that's right there as well.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Because again, he's just that kind of guy.
Especially if someone like a couple missed thirds. And
Exactly. Because again, it's like that anything can happen situation. But all hitting their thirds, you'd assume Ewan. But I am very interested to see what Yanni rolls in with on the squat.
Agreed. Bench. It's going to be one of those 105 boys, Tom or Yanni, most likely.
Yep.
My money would be on Yanni. Chapo maybe.
Yeah, I think
so close.
I think they're going to be extremely close.
Again,
Yeah.
it could come down to lot numbers. Like,
Yep.
because that record is a standard, it's 205, which means that if you put in 205, someone takes it, you don't get the chip. You just have to reattempt 205, but you don't get the record.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see if any chips are played or if the coaches are aware of that rule.
That's right.
Because that's a really unique rule.
Yeah. It's a rare thing to have to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then deadlift, definitely Sam. Like, no question about it, definitely Sam.
Definitely Sam.
Unless he misses his
Misses
third
his
and
third,
Hung, yeah.
and Hung is up with the
Yeah.
yeah. So Hung and Sam on a 3 for 3.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
All right, Matty, thanks for joining me today. That was episode 35, I think. And yeah, hope you are all as excited for the Cup as we are. See you there, October 26th. Live stream starting just before 4 o'clock and lifting starting at 4.
Very excited.
Ciao.
Hey Alex, the episode's over now.
Thanks, bud. I'm in a jet. Sir. Oh man. Thanks, broski. You off tomorrow? You're from Melbourne tomorrow.
Do not pull
We'll
my
make
hair.
Go to the comp. Go to the comp. Tomorrow.